Again, a big welcome and thank you for joining us tonight for this webinar co-hosted by us at Timo and also Team Bath Buccaneers Hockey Club. As you can probably see on the screen, my name's Joe from Timo, and I work with several of the clubs on this call. In fact, I might have spoken to many of you as well to help them get the most out of the product. Outside my day job at Timo, I'm also a hockey coach working across several junior teams and senior teams, so I'm very familiar myself with grassroots sports clubs. We're lucky enough to have John Nurse join us tonight. John is CEO, founder and creator of Sport Plan and Timo. John has extensive experience working in online marketing as well as building, managing numerous club websites. John's going to be taking us through some of the technical aspects of running a club website. So instead of being worried about all of that and what it means, hopefully you'll be confident and excited to take something away with you tonight that you can really put into practice with your own club. We're also lucky enough tonight to be joined by Martin from Team Bath Buccaneers. They were in fact the very first club to go live with the Timo site, and he's here to discuss how Team Bath have used Timo sites to help improve the digital presence of their club. I'll ask him to introduce himself shortly. For now, again, thank you for joining us. I'm going to hand over to John, who, as you can see on the slide, will be setting the scene for why a strong club website is so important for every club in this new digital era. So John, over to you.
Thank you very much, Joe, and thank you everyone else for joining us. So as Joe said, I'm just trying to share a few of the reasons why we thought we'd try and help the world with club websites, hopefully to help you all through the digital age and also save some money and things like that. So I'm going to very quickly take you through some of the reasons we think you should be thinking about in having a club website. Try and bust some of the jargon, because I think I want everyone to take something away from today. And I certainly know that some committees are sort of held hostage by the techie guy in the corner, and I don't want you to feel like that. So we want everyone to feel empowered to control their own brand, their own identity, and to be able to move forward in this sort of modern age. I'm trying to try and fly through this quite quickly, so we can save any questions. We'll do at the end after Martin's had a chance to talk as well. So why do you need a club website? Your club website is your shop front. Okay, you want it to be active, you want it to be attractive to current members, potential visitors, visiting clubs and teams. And it's also a great way that if you can keep it up to date and current and have lots of visitors, you then have the potential to sell those page views to sponsors and make it attractive to sponsors as well. And obviously, so sponsorship opportunities are a great thing, a reason for having a good website. And obviously, I'm old enough to remember back in the day where we all had club handbooks. And it would have everything from, you know, who the chairman was through to the rules of the club, the history of the club, and all those wonderful things such as every fixture and everything else going on throughout the year. So your club website not only has to be ready for every day and attractive and up to date, but it also has to have all the things that anyone ever needs to know about your sports club. Now, so that's what it needs to do, but there's obviously lots of technical things to actually get there. So very quickly, I'm going to go through a few things that you might hear about. You might not know exactly what it all means. So SSL is a thing that bounces around and people talk about. It actually stands for Secure Socket Layer. Now, essentially, all you've got to say is that if a website has got an HTTPS, and the S is the key thing for secure, then it's got a secure certificate, and therefore is using a secure socket layer. What does that mean? I'm talking jargon already. Basically, even if you're just putting in an email address or filling in a contact form, it means that everything that website handles is encrypted from end to end. You see that on WhatsApp all the time, end-to-end encryption. It means that no one can sniff in the middle and steal your details. Now, it's not actually a requirement. There are no rules on the internet. So you can actually you can still have websites that aren't encrypted. So Google, it's 2014, Google said, right, actually, we think this is really important. So we'll actually push you further up our search rankings if you have a secure certificate. So everyone in the commercial world ran off and got them, but it didn't mean that everyone else had them. And now even some browsers, depending on your browser settings, will actually stop visitors visiting websites without a secure certificate. Problem is, like everything else, they cost money. Depending on who you work with, they're £8 to £20 a month and need renewing every 2 years. We think they're really important, and there should be a right, like many other things in life, and therefore we've made them free in any product we're doing. So you can actually now get a completely free product, a website from us with a free secure certificate as well. Anyway, I'm not going to plug this too much because I'll do that at the end. But so another key thing everyone hears is search SEO, or search engine optimization. Now, what that means is you can make a pretty website, it can look absolutely amazing, but no one ever finds it. They don't find it because they type you into a search engine and you don't appear. So how do you appear in search engine? Well, there's a clever thing, and okay, this is basically how Google does it, and pretty much all the other search engines have copied Google, so we'll just cover them. So you have authority, ranking, and content. Now, they all sound like complicated words, so I'll try and sort of demystify that a little bit. Content is the easy one. Google can only really read words. Okay, so if you want Google to think your website's about something, say it in words. Don't just put a video up there or an image up there. You've got to actually write it down. And then ultimately, authority is all about, do other people believe your website? And so if I've got a website that's about hockey and it links to another website about hockey, I'm actually telling Google will read those links and go, this website actually believes that website's about hockey, and so that website must be about hockey. And then actually more websites that link to each other, all about the same subject, they pass on their own authority to each other. So don't start linking. If you have a rugby website linking to a hockey website, that doesn't actually help you at all, because that website's about rugby and this website's about hockey. And so Google will say, oh, well, that doesn't really mean much. Well, unless you're searching for a different word. But if you're searching for hockey, then Google will only trust other websites with the same search terms. The great thing is, if you're running a club website, you have governing bodies and league websites and Sport England and active pages on the BBC, and they're all linking out to clubs and things in your area. And if you're not on half of these indexes, you should add yourself to them. So then obviously, if you're in a sports club directory linking to a sports club, that's obviously good for you. If some gambling company asks you to link to them, just don't do it, okay? Because it's actually going to give you a detrimental score with Google. So Google, I know I'm being really vague and quick, but basically Google takes all these things, your content, who actually rates your website, and then again, do you have a secure certificate? Does your website load quickly and nicely on mobile? Are your buttons the right size for users? All these little things, and gives you a score. And then that is that score that lets you list in Google. Now, most clubs may, for example, Bath, they're in Bath. People search for a hockey club Bath, they find Bath Buccaneers. I certainly hope they do, Martin, anyway. But for example, if you're in a crowded city, so London, for example, Wayfarers Hockey Club, and I'm nothing to do Wayfarers, the Wayfarers Hockey Club don't have London in their title. Well, actually, no, I think they've renamed themselves London Wayfarers. But ultimately, if I'm a new person who's moved into, say, South London in Clapham, I'm going to just go to Google and type in Hockey Club Clapham. So why would Google show me the Wayfarers website down the road? So what Wayfarers would have to do, and I don't know if they've done this or not, but what they'd have to do, Google doesn't just read your homepage. They read every page on your website, as long as it's linked somewhere in your website. And so actually, if you create a page called Hockey Club Clapham, and actually Google reads everything from the file name, the title of your page. Now, the title is the bit that appears in Google when you see a search listing. It also appears in the tab at the top. So actually, very few people read the whole title of your page, but actually Google reads it and takes it incredibly seriously. And then the page heading, you can have big, beautiful headings on web pages, but if you haven't used the right formatting tag, the H1, Google just treats it like a standard paragraph, and so completely ignores it. Gives it the same rating as other bits of text on the page. So actually, if you got those three things right, your web page would appear for those key terms if it was listed in the right way. And then you can add things like keywords and description. Google doesn't read the keyword terms anymore. It makes them up from your page. And again, you should obviously write about the keywords, hopefully have them in a couple of paragraphs somewhere in the page. But ultimately, this doesn't have to be, this isn't your homepage. This is somewhere deep down in your website. So actually, if I were doing this sort of helping Wayfarers get new members, I would write a page for Clapham. I'd write a page for Hockey Club SW4, for example, and I'd write a page for Hockey Club South London, all unique so that Google could find them perfectly. And I would just hide these links right down in the footer of the website. And so actually right down at the footer, you'd see links to Hockey Club London, Hockey Club SW4. And I'm not expecting, so a human might land on them, if they find us in Google, but they wouldn't actually go to the foot of the page and decide to read them. So I don't know, hopefully some of you out there who are in crowded cities trying to get new members, that's how you do it if you want to get around Google. The other key quick win is that Google, a lot of people just knock out web pages and they go to their content management system and say new page, and it just gives them a standard page. They don't think about the title and they don't think about a description. If you don't put a unique title and a unique description every page, Google just ignores them because it can't distinguish between one page and another. So the key things to add. And I can say that in Teemo sites, we have a very nice tool that allows you to review every page on one view to check they've got unique titles and descriptions and they're the right lengths. And similarly, you can manage all the tags we talked about on the previous page when you create new pages. Another quick myth buster is that when you create a new website, you actually lose where you are in the search engines. This is completely not true. Basically, why would anyone want to do that? I mean, it's obviously great if you're with a hosting company and they convince you that's true. So basically, Google have, well, forever, there's been an official way of telling a search engine and a web browsers that your web page has moved. So I might be on one hosting solution and I've written a page about my junior academy, and the junior league website doesn't link to my homepage, but links directly to that page. And so I've now written a new website, but my new junior homepage is actually in a different place or called a different thing. You can actually set up something called a 301 redirect, which stands for a permanent redirect, and basically tells every search engine and every inbound link to a browser that this page is now automatically moved. And if your hosting company don't offer that, then you should ask. But we do that as standard within Teemo websites. So and we can also upload your top 60 to 100 pages that appear in Google. So you can make sure that they aren't lost if you transfer your site to us. You can speak to an account manager about that. A very quick thing, a lot of people get lost in the terminology between a domain name, hosting, email, secure certificates, club databases. So I just quickly wanted to run over that. So your domain name is your identity. It's your, myclubwebsite.com. And basically, you should own it. So there are some sort of fairly unscrupulous companies out there and agencies that basically go, oh, let me sell you some hosting. And they go, oh yeah, I'll get your website for you. And they end up owning your website. And then when you want to move it, it's yours. They can't own it. There's rules. But basically, you then have to, basically, if you want to then move away from them, it just makes it that whole process a little bit easier. We recommend that you own your own domain name. So we will not be selling domain names or offering to manage them for people. What we can do is we know various, so basically you have a domain name, it sits with someone called a domain name registrar. There's a couple we can recommend, and the ones we recommend just means we've used them, so we can give support on how to use them. But we don't get involved with domain names. You should own your own identity. Your website, we've talked a bit about already. It's the pretty bit. The website is the pretty bit, but it's just a page. To have a website, you need a piece of hard drive somewhere up in the cloud to hold your website. And so website hosting, you can't have a website without website hosting. And then once you've got website hosting, you then need to put a secure certificate onto your hosting. Otherwise, it won't be secure. So you need all these different pieces bolted together to actually have a technical solution. And then finally, email hosting, that's just sort of info at my club name. And that can obviously be done through, again, that's a separate service. You might be sold all of these things in one thing, but that's actually a separate service. And then you can choose about whether that email is forwarded somewhere or sits in another inbox or is redirected to somebody else. And that's obviously an individual club's preference. Very quickly, why do club websites, why do people at sports clubs get so much spam email? Well, basically, it's because for years, people have been putting email addresses into web pages. And there's these nasty little things called spam bots, and they crawl the internet, and they're just looking for every sign of something, and they grab it, and they grab the name of the website, and they grab any other names associated with it, and they put them in a database, and they sell them off to people or give them away to people. There's also these nasty thing called salesmen as well, and they do something similar, grabbing email addresses around the web. But the point is, is that if you put email addresses on a website, and it might be that you're a team captain or a section captain, you're suddenly going to get loads of spam. And so basically just don't do it. If you can, avoid putting info at on a website. And people these days should really be using inline forms with encryption so that no email addresses ever appear in a website. And that's something we believe in very strongly. And if you even put by accident, email me at the end of an event or something like that you put on a Timo site, that any email address we find, if we can match it to your sport plan, to your club database, gets encrypted and hidden in a form, and so people can click on it and get a pop-up to email you securely, versus someone stealing someone's contact details. So, right, I've talked about a few technical things, and I'm very happy to take questions at the end. So what we've talked about is you need a website. You need to be able to present the club's brand. You want information to be kept accurate. You want to be able to tell people about yourselves, about your history, about how wonderful you are. You want to be able them to be able to contact you. You want them to know how to join your club. You want them to be able to find prices. You want it to be current. You want them fixtures on there. You want results on there. You want match reports on there. You want photos on there. You want all these things. Now, all of that, even if you have a nice content management system, can create a huge burden for someone on a weekly basis to keep up to date. And again, I've been that person. I think that's unfair. People say, hey, you're the webmaster, you should do all this. Or you're some youngster who's just studied computing, you should do this. It's really not fair on anybody. So what we believe is that we've actually looking at giving all the content creation tools to everybody in the club through Timo. And actually then the webmaster is just the gatekeeper of that content. They can get a notification saying, so-and-so's posted a new match report. Is it suitable for public release? They get a notification saying, we've just won 10-0. Can you put this on the homepage? In 2 clicks, it's on their website homepage. And so we want to take away that whole burden from the webmaster and just put them in control of maintaining the club's brand and image, and not actually have to be, have a tireless task of managing the content. So very quickly to sum up on what a sport club needs. They need a website that's beautiful, easy to manage, and everything else. They then need a domain name that they need to own. They need their own hosting and SSL certificate. They need an info at email address. They could use an email forwarding service or a hosted solution. So obviously Google do a great Google Apps for Business. If you're a registered charity, you can actually get that for free. But that's a good, and there's other cloud services to include. An email forwarding service is where you basically change your info at to go to, my personal email address at something.com, and that obviously works as well. And then you want a club database. Well, you want a club database maintaining player registration and finances and membership records, etc., etc. You might want an email service, and then obviously you say you can email. Does your email service allow you to quickly email whole sections, whole individual teams, the whole club in one click? Does it allow you to integrate sponsors and things like that without too much effort? And does it integrate with your club database? Because of GDPR now, if one person leaves the club, you've got to automatically remove them and vice versa. So it's quite important that they're connected. And then if you're a modern club, you might want a flashy app for your members, maintaining real-time availability, team selection, quick access to emergency contact details and allergies and things like that, medical information for team captains and managers, match fees and child self-communication. So it's a complex business that suddenly you're not just someone on the committee who's asked to do a club website. You're actually some sort of the tech buyer for a small company. So anyway, all these things cost money, and so what we're trying to do at Timo, we used to be very much an app. And then obviously we branched out into club databases. We've always had an email service. Some people don't know much about it. And now with our new product, Timo Sites, we're offering a free website that's fully integrated with your fixtures, etc., and easy to manage. And we're offering free website hosting and a free security certificate. So I'm very happy to answer more technical questions at the end. But I want to crack on and talk to hear what Martin has to say. But before I do that, in true Steve Jobs style, we made a video. So I'm just going to show you the video, and then I'm going to leave the floor to Joe and Martin. Can everyone see this? Is that loaded, Jay? You give me a thumbs up? Yeah.
Yeah, looks good to me. Brilliant. Thank you very much, John. Give me 1 second. Just gonna put myself and Martin up on the screen. Thank you so much for that, John. I definitely learned a few things there. I'm in the process of building my own club's website, so there's quite a few things I can take away and put into practice there, which should be good. Now we come on to the second part of our session with Martin and Team Bath Buccaneers. Martin, thanks again for joining us. Great to have you with us. Would you mind telling us quickly a bit about yourself, Team Bath Buccaneers, and your role there?
Yeah, Team Bath Buccaneers, large hockey club in Bath, one of the biggest in the southwest, about 1,000 members, over 400 juniors, and we've been using we use the Timo app for a lot of our club management systems. And when the potential for a new website was there, we were looking at how we could integrate more with communicate with our members, and also look outwardly towards more sponsorship and communication and what out externally. Then the option to have a new website through Timo seemed a sensible option. And now I'm chairman and director of development part on the back of some of that project work. So so lots going on and lots of exciting projects going on as well. Brilliant.
You kind of already covered it there a little bit about why you decided to move specifically to a Timo website, because you've already kind of got your whole membership database and a lot of your information there already. Were there any particular barriers that you were looking to overcome when you moved?
To be honest, we've had a number of options for our website over the years. One was the classic: somebody within the club designed it, made it, kept it under control, and then we moved to another product, which was a Riot product with Club Buzz, which initially did a great job, but then the development didn't move forward with what we needed. And we needed to have something that allowed us to allow members to interact with it a little bit more. We had the members just didn't use the website at all. So and we didn't get a huge amount of traffic going towards the website either. So that then becomes more difficult to recruit sponsors. So we were looking, as part of a wider review of a sponsorship and membership strategy, having a new website was something that we need to look at. And the timing of what Timo were doing and how responsive they've been with the app and how we work with them through the app actually said, well, this is a good relationship. Let's see how we move that forward.
Absolutely, sounds great. And how have you found the process of actually moving across and building the website itself?
I find it easy because I've got an administrator who's done quite a lot of the work for me. But actually, the building the website was very straightforward. And in fact, I think within a day, we had everything, the outline of the website up and running. It took us a bit longer than that just to sort of develop the content. And actually, what was really useful is going through what was on the other old website and taking out quite a lot of the stuff that wasn't needed anymore. It's quite cathartic going through that and doing an audit of what data was on there, what information was on there, and actually making it much more relevant and useful for what we were trying to focus our sort of marketing and the sponsorship opportunities, but also for members as well, what information is going to be really useful for them.
Yeah, absolutely. How is and how you say you weren't getting loads of traffic before, or a lot of your members weren't really using the website. How has it been received and perceived so far by the members within the club?
It's still quite early days, but the response has been very positive. I think the key thing from our point of view is that we can now information from Timo, so results and match reports automatically get uploaded to the website. So people are now going to the website to find out what's going on in the club, because sometimes they knew what was going on in their own teams, but when they looked at other parts of the club, we have various large sections, and trying to find out information about what's going on in each different section or training time, that sort of thing, was difficult. Through the website, they can now go on the calendar and everything uploads onto that directly from the Timo app. The other good thing is we only have to enter the data once, so that all the fixtures and everything gets put straight onto from Timo, goes straight into the website. So that means that we're not then having to duplicate that on another system. And then the other thing that people is trying to get people to engage with the site is allowing captains and managers to look at how they can put on match reports, so they can allocate match reports, and then those get uploaded to the website. So we're not trying to then chase around on a Monday morning trying to find out what happened in the club and trying to then get that into newspapers and that sort of thing. So that's been really helpful, so as a way of engaging the wider club and what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure moving on to any new platform, whether it's a website or a platform itself, obviously comes with the odd challenge here or there. How did you find the actual transition? Was there anything that didn't go so smoothly that could, or anything along those lines? Or yeah,
I think actually it took a while just to actually work out what content we really did need, and gave us a chance to actually just look at that in a bit more detail. Because you can automatically say, oh yeah, we need this, and this, but actually going back and going, actually we don't need that anymore. That information somewhere else, and also which information is going to be more important to us. We can still hold the data. The data is still held on the website. We might have documents, etc., but we don't need those to be front and center. We want people to come and find the website interesting. What we have been able to do is promote our video channel, Buccaneers TV, which is what we're using as a platform to sort of show junior skills, and the men's first team putting videos on, the ladies' first team putting videos on that then juniors can then try out and that sort of thing. So we're going to try and make more of that. That's again becoming quite attractive to sponsors as well, and how they can get engaged with that element of the club. It's quite more interactive, and youth branding type side of things has been really helpful for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And what kind of I mean, I've worked with quite a few clubs now in getting their websites set up and running, and kind of I've probably seen dozens by now. What do you think's kind of made yours look good and appealing as a website?
Well, it's quite simple things in a way. It's having a consistent color palette that people go, oh, we recognize that's good. But also it's having the relevant information in the right place. There's not too much stuff on that front page, but I think probably the key bit from my point of view is allowing people to interact with it, that their match reports, etc., are showing up in the news section, that people are going to the website to find out what's going on in the club. That's been really, really a key part of this. And there is this, we've had not issues, but obviously there is this issue about people writing match reports and have they been checked, and are they appropriate to go on, and the system allows that checking process. There's an audit process that goes on. Something doesn't get published if it hasn't been through a sort of checking process, so we're not going to get in trouble with the league website for putting on something inappropriate about an umpire comment or something like that, or decision. So that's been really helpful.
Brilliant. And obviously, again, there's sometimes whenever you move on to something new, there might be a bit of resistance from various stakeholders within the club, who maybe a bit resistant to change, or not sure about things, not sure about the effort it takes to move on to a new system. Did you find much of this? And if so, how did you maybe overcome it?
Actually, I know it's very, very well received, partly because we did it as part of this wider strategy, the fact that we wanted to have this three-pronged approach, basically. One, we want to encourage new members to get involved. We want to engage with our current membership, and also then be attracted to potential partners and sponsors to come on board as well. So we set that out very early, and part of that was delivering a new website, and that's that way that everyone came along with the idea that that's what we were doing, and when they've now seen it, they go, oh yeah, great, that's fantastic. So
brilliant. And I'm just wary of the times, and I want to open up the floor in a couple of minutes to with us. Just last question for me: is there any advice for clubs who are going to maybe potentially using a Timo website over the next few weeks or next months? Any advice you give to them who are looking to move their website in terms of how they might use the tools or anything along those lines?
I think that the one thing is, it doesn't matter if you sort of decide change your mind and sort of do you want to change content there. You can put their stuff up there and go on, we'll take it down, or and getting a few more people involved in doing it is a good idea. But actually, it's a very straightforward process, and having the templates for different types of information you want to put onto the website is really helpful, so that you're not just using one single template. And that actually, there's one for match reports, there's one for information pages, there's one for video pages, or picture pages, and that's been really helpful. The other thing is actually having, I was going to say this about having team pages, and then those teams being able to see what's going on within their team and communicate through that. It's helpful, and also allowing members within the club to contact key people within the club using those sites rather than it all going through one. That's full as well. So yeah, we're really pleased with where it's going, and I think we've just picked up our first new sponsor through this new process as well. Glad to hear. And for those that don't know, you can now also include your sponsors from the website also in your Timo emails. So any emails you send within Timo, you can also include those sponsors in there. And that's for those who aren't running a website with us as well. You can also include those sponsors. So I think it'd be great to open up the floor a little bit and take some questions. We've probably only got about 5 to 10 minutes worth of time left. So if you want to raise your hand, Geordie Hayward.
Yes, hello. Question for Martin. I like particularly the freshness of the Bath Buccaneers website. Can you tell me specifically how you've integrated the tables, the league tables? I'm on your site at the moment, men's fives.
Yeah. And
looks really clean. Division 2 East. Do you have that information, if so, from England Hockey, or do you have it from the West area? I'm familiar with the West. But from Canterbury's point of view, there are issues sometimes with integrating league tables.
I believe, and Joe will be able to support that this comes directly from the GMS system, so we can link directly to that, and that's where that information comes from. The section on the website when you're building it, that you can add that link in.
Lovely. And one other brief question: when building the your website, did you have an option of different templates? Again, I think the freshness, the clarity of your site is really impressive. Do you have a choice, or are you fairly set in a template?
I will say we'd sort of worked with Timo to create a template that I think is a generic one, but the actual how you brand it and how you then make that your own is down to you. And we've got our set color palette, which I mean, what Reliably Informed has been sort of thought about in the think tanks to come up with that. So. But it is quite clean and quite fresh. We're thinking of introducing a grey into our colour palette soon as well, which is quite interesting, quite exciting, which is something to get excited about, which is a bit sad, really. But yeah, the template, I believe, is relatively set. But how you create that content. So, for example, you get that menu down the left-hand side, and there are sort of 6 placeholders. But what you put in there is up to you, and then how you put in that content is up to you.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a question I've had a few times from various clubs, and actually, whilst the template is the same across the clubs, I think each website looks really unique because the main page of each website is your own photos almost across the whole screen. But it really still feels like your own website, despite it having that same side menu, that same bit across the top. The colours and the imagery, I think, really makes it feel like your own. And like Martin said, it's completely up to you what those menu items say. There's no restriction in terms of the wording or anything along those kind of lines. Deborah, I saw you had your hand up.
Yes, I've got a question for Martin with a follow-up for you. Martin, I've been looking at your website, and as you say, it looks lovely. So I went to the calendar, which is a bit tricky because there's a lot of action at the weekends in large clubs, and I saw Oxford Hawks on September the 18th. So I clicked on September the 18th because there was another Oxford Hawks further down. I thought, oh, was that the ladies? And I wanted to get the full list of fixtures on that day, and I could only see the first 4. So I hadn't a clue why Oxford Hawks appears there twice. Eventually, I went to the men's side and found that the men's ones were in there twice, once with to be confirmed and once with a specific time. And that often happens when you've got to load in with data, so that's understandable. But my point for Joe is, Could we please have a whole load of exception reports, like fixtures with no time, fixtures with no venue, people with no teams, all this kind of stuff. It would just be so good for picking up the anomalies that are the exceptions, that are the ones that always kill you. But then my second question for you is, we're having trouble getting fixtures from Timo into our website. A bit of background: in March, we looked at the opportunities for new website, and you didn't have any live sites, so you were ruled out from the risk point of view. So we're now trying to get the fixtures into our non-Timo website, and it's broken. And when I raised it with support, they said, "Oh, we're too busy dealing with our website issues at the moment."
Okay. Deborah, I'll give you my email address and we can have a chat about it following this, if that's all right. And I'll help you out with that. Does that sound good?
That's good, yes.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and obviously some of the anomalies on our website is we're uploading fixtures all the time at the moment, and some of them are coming off and going on, and it's that pre-season period. So
yeah, which is why you need the reports.
Yeah,
and
that would be helpful, actually. Yeah, very much so.
Absolutely. And by the way, Joe, if you needed me to write them, if it's a SQL database, I can write them for you. And then all you have to do is productize them and get them tested, of course. So never underestimate the amount of goodwill around here. We all want this to work. So if you've got something that you're beta testing, probably on a website, because then you can have an instance that we can look at without upsetting our app, then let us know and we'll come and play for you.
Absolutely. Sounds great. I'll drop you an email after this, if that's all right. And we'll chat up.
Thank you.
Sound good? Brilliant. Neil, I see you've got your hand up. Probably last 2 or 3 questions, if that's all right, please. Neil?
Yeah, I've got a question about Play Cricket integration.
Okay. Yeah.
So I just wondered if the integration is dynamic, whether if fixtures are changed by the league in Play Cricket, that happens in the background automatically, or do you have to re-import them? And then the slight note on that, we use Pitch Hero at the moment, which only integrates with league fixtures, not cup ones. Is that does your integration do league and cup?
John, are you able to answer a bit more on that? You're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. I'll try and answer that. Thanks, Neil. So our integration, obviously, we import the fixtures from Play Cricket. They don't have a live. They don't tell us when things change. But what we've set up is basically, as soon as someone visits a Play Cricket fixture in the Timo app, at least once a day, it will check if there's any changes on Play Cricket and automatically import the changes if it finds any.
Okay.
So, and that's basically the best we can do, because it's a pull process, not a push process. With Play Cricket, and so that's the best we're able to do with that. And that's the same with if there's, I mean, most of the time, I mean, apart from, well, a lot of the standard league fixtures, obviously the things, the times and the locations seem to be sort of set in stone, but it certainly pulls all the results that way. I can't remember every field that it pulls for changes, but it does grab the results, etc. in that way.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, John. We've got time, I think, for one more question, if anyone's got one. No?
No, it's Jim Garside from Wilton Hockey Club. Can I just build on the last question? Because in hockey, of course, we're all struggling or have been struggling with GMS. Where do you see the integration going with GMS and Timo? Because we'd very much like to have it.
John, can I hand back to you again for that one?
So obviously we obviously at the moment GMS are not going to offer an API as in a official way of integrating with them. So at the moment we obviously pull their fixtures in so that you can import them into Timo. What we're currently doing now that they've finally stopped changing their website is the best we can do, which is we're actually building our own little bot that will control GMS on your behalf, we hope. Now, I'm saying this because it's the concept is sound, but we still need to finalize testing and prove it all works. But the aim is that certainly with data changing on their side. We're going to try and see what we can basically, it's a process of scraping and pulling it out. And also with the idea of uploading team sheets and things like that, we're doing our best to basically use our own sort of shadow bots to do that on people's behalf to make the experience more seamless for team captains and managers. And I hope between now and the early weeks of September, as long as they don't change the design of their product, which we obviously don't know if they will or they won't, we should have some exciting news on those things.
Sounds good.
John, could you have some documentation for that, please?
Oh yes, there will be lots when it comes. I mean, yeah, there'll be videos and tutorials and all sorts. As soon as, but yeah, I want to give you more detail, but I can't yet. So watch the space, but it's very much on the top of the agenda. We are sort of highly hockey, so yeah, we're doing our best on that one. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks again, John. Yeah, Deborah, I've dropped you a little message just giving you my email in the chat, so feel free to drop me an email when it suits you. For anyone who comes up with a question afterwards that hasn't mentioned it tonight, our email address to get in touch with for any other queries would be info@timo.chat. So I'm just going to drop that in the chat for you. John's also put in the chat a link to be able to download those slides that he showed during his presentation. So if you want to have a look over those or share those with the person in your club who might be building your website, feel free to do that. But yeah, that is everything for now. Thank you very, very much for joining us. John, did we have one last slide to show as well? Again, you're on mute.
There is one more thing we wanted to announce today, if I can find the share button. So yeah, in all good presentations, you should have just one more thing. Hopefully next week, maybe the week after, we're basically launching a fundraising program within Timo as well. And basically, you may have used Easy Fundraising before. This is a little bit different. This is actually a rewards program for your members as well as fundraising for your club. And so if you have the Timo app, your members will be able to, within 2 clicks, activate something. And all it means is when they next shop on their phones, they'll basically automatically get told if there's a discount available at the store they're at. So that's the reward side. And if you know anything about online retailers, they're all sitting there with commission for somebody. And basically this plugin will claim that commission for your sports club, and it will get filtered back into Timo, and you'll get a totalizer in Timo, and we'll then invite you to invoice us each quarter to raise money for the club. It's actually estimated that the average individual could get £100 in promo codes in a year, and that average individual would earn the club £40 in commission. So if we get this out there this season and you tell your members about it before they start their Christmas shopping, there's actually a lot of revenue to come back to sports clubs. And so certainly both parents in a junior section should all be encouraged to use this type of thing. So hopefully that's an appealing extra for people coming very soon.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, John. So again, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. Thank you so much, Martin and John, for adding your experiences and your expertise. Really appreciate you giving up your time to do so. We will make the recording of this available for everyone, so I'll send it specifically to everyone who turned up tonight, and we'll also put together a little blog as well, so you can watch it back again if you feel like you want to, or if you want to share it with any of your other committee members or stakeholders within your club. You can do that too. So yeah, once again, thanks very much for joining us, and have a good night. Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.